Hi, it's Meredith with Phonetic Fluency, and in today's video we're going to hear from Fred. Fred is a UX designer from Mexico, now living and working in the US. Even though Fred had a great command of English grammar and vocabulary, he noticed that people still asked him to repeat himself or to clarify what he said as if they didn't understand him. So Fred decided to address the root of his problem, his pronunciation, and so he decided to join the Phonetic Fluency membership. Let's hear what Fred has to say about his struggles and how Phonetic Fluency has helped him. We're just going to go through a couple of questions and feel free to, free form, freestyle, tell me whatever you want to tell me. But we're going to start basically with my questions, and at the end, if you want to add anything, that would be the time. So starting with the first question, what challenges were you having with communicating in English before you started working with me in the membership?
Several things. There is a psychological component to knowing something and master something. Like in this case, English. It's very, very special to me because I didn't go to school to learn it. So it was very, very difficult for me. So when I finally was able to start working in the industry, where I belong, I just made horrible mistakes, and I was working in a corporate environment. So I'm still wondering how I made it. But it's always difficult because they are way too focused on structure, grammar, phrases that you need to memorize, things like that, which are useful. But sometimes when you are exposed to specific scenarios or talking with specific people, accent is going to play an important. So that was, kind of like the main struggle.
And so tell me a little bit more about that. Like you say that accent plays a really important component when talking to certain people. In what ways did you notice that?
Yeah, many times, like during interviews, I'm explaining something, I'm translating everything in my head, like at this point where I'm not even thinking in Spanish, but still trying to make sense of what I'm saying. And during the interview, I'm constantly hearing someone or the person on the other side repeating what I said. Like, okay, so you are saying A, B, C, D. Like trying to make sure that they understood what I said, which I find like unusual. Like I wouldn't do that with someone that speaks the same language. Like they just wanted to make sure they understood what I said. And
so that was like a clue to you that something was going on with comprehension.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So it's not only accent, of course. It's a lot of things.
Right.
I noticed that, and I wanted to fix it, or at least try to improve it.
The way I think of it, language is made out of mainly three components, which are grammar, vocabulary, and phonetics. And for some reason, traditional learning just only focuses on grammar and vocabulary, and phonetics is just kind of like, maybe if you want to, you could look at this, but it's not important. But I think that all three are equally important. So of course, it's not just phonetics either. It's, grammar and vocabulary are important, but without the correct phonetics, you can know lots of grammar and lots of vocabulary, but if you don't pronounce it correctly, people will have a hard time understanding you. And so it's kind of, you need all three to really be fluent. So what made you choose me or Phonetic Fluency or the membership to help you with this problem?
Your accent specifically, because it's completely different. I took many classes with other teachers, and they knew some Spanish, but it's like broken English, broken Spanish, same thing. Like you gain some authority by talking properly. And, when I hear you, I noticed that you have an accent, an American accent, but it's completely different than this traditional American accent. It's completely different. And I think that earned my respect, because when I hear someone like you, I know that you went through a process like me, exactly like me. So I think there's a empathy, like what I'm struggling with, and because of that, you're going to guide me to the right place.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, as you said, like even though I still have an accent, I'm able to feel confident about the Spanish that I speak. And so I've gone through the exact same thing, as a native English speaker learning Spanish, I've done accent coaching specifically to sound more native in Spanish because that's always been my goal. So I've done the same process in reverse. So I realized there was a need for the same thing for Spanish speakers learning English. What about since joining the Phonetic Fluency membership, what has been your favorite part?
The favorite part for me has been videos. They are focused on those things that certain structures, certain words require specific attention on parts. And by having the explanation and having the PDF files with those marks in the phrases that I need to pronounce and the audio, all the dedication that you had put into all of these files and documents, I think is very well organized, very well structured, easy to understand. The platform also helps a lot because you can track your progress over there, and that is a complement of the virtual meetings that we have with the rest of the team. I think one with the other are just going great, are two parts of the same process, and they both are great.
Perfect. And what would you tell someone who is thinking about joining the Phonetic Fluency membership? Like
Like,
someone who's in your position, someone who's a native Spanish speaker and, maybe already speaks English, but they have a strong accent. They're struggling with maybe some of the same miscommunications that you were struggling with before you joined. Someone who's in that similar position and is thinking of joining the membership. What would you say to them about any doubts that they might have?
what I will say is I will recommend this program specifically because the teacher or the person who is in charge has gone through a similar process and she knows everything related to learning and being focused on those specific parts. So I think that will be, the main thing that I will say. The other one is about the community. Yeah, I will focus on that, the process, the structure that you have, the plan, the learning plan that you have. I think that those are the things that I will focus on when recommending your program.
What about for people who say that they have tried other things and it doesn't work? What would you say to someone who's thinking about joining the membership and has that experience?
A different program, not your membership, right?
Right, exactly. Like someone who's already tried improving through some other program or some other classes and it hasn't worked for them. So they're not sure if they want to try this program.
I will say they just completely different. As you said, many other teachers focus on other areas, vocabulary and structure and grammar, things like that. They don't focus on if you're going to be understood or not. And that's very, very important. And also very many tips about how to be more confident or how to be more fluent. That's also very helpful because sometimes you have something in your mind, like you have the knowledge, but because you haven't tried enough, then you fail, when it's the time for you to communicate. But with these practices, live meetings, I think it's a good space for us to practice and talk and just be more proactive on saying things that I wouldn't say, in other environments. So
Mhm.
that's the reason why I feel like that's a very specific point that makes your membership a little bit more outstanding. It's kind of like a safe place for us to make mistakes and being corrected in a respectful manner. So I think that would be a big differentiator when it comes to other English programs or classes.
And I'm glad to hear that that's the way you feel in those meetings. That's exactly my intention, is to make it a place, like you said, a safe place where you can make mistakes and get correction in a way that's going to help you rather than hinder you. Okay, and my last question is, what specific improvements have you seen in your spoken English, your pronunciation, accent, since joining the membership? How do you feel like your English has changed?
The biggest improvement for me has been being aware of the different sounds I need to make. Like, for instance, the difference between B and V. After speaking English for the last 6 or 7 years, I just wasn't aware of, I didn't know that there was a difference between B and V or the Z sound. And it's so obvious. It makes me feel, how is it possible that I never heard that difference from native speakers or things like that? The Z sound, the zeta sound, it's very, very specific. I'm still working on that. Makes me feel a little bit stupid when I pronounce it, but I think it's part of the process, right? I'm making intentional changes to make that differentiation. I feel that when I communicate with my son now, he understands me more. And in the past, he used to correct me, saying things like, "No, no, Papa, you don't say this word. You say this word." And when I try to understand the difference that he's trying to make, I go back to my lessons and I say, okay, how is this one spelled? What are the rules that I can apply here? So now I consciously use those resources and I pronounce it in the right way. And he's like, you got it, like, good, So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, but again, because now I'm aware of those specific sounds I need to make, or places where I don't need to put an E before, just start with the S. But yeah, very useful in the sense of awareness of very specific sounds I need to make.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And the thing that you said about your son, the thing about trying to get help from native speakers is native speakers are very good at identifying when something sounds off. Like they can say something's not right, but it's very hard for them to then explain what you need to actually do to make it right. So yeah. That combination of feedback from your son together with the program so that he can tell you when something sounds good or maybe not so good, but then in the program you can learn exactly why it may or may not sound right.
Right.
right? So now I feel like I have more resources.
Awesome. Thank you so much for watching. If you, like Fred, pick up on these subtle signs that your accent might be interfering with your communication in English, the solution to your problem is in the Phonetic Fluency membership. Language consists of three main pillars: vocabulary, grammar, and phonetics. But unfortunately, in the language learning world, most teachers and courses only focus on the first two pillars, and they totally ignore phonetics. This leaves you without all of the tools that you need to really speak English fully because you're not using all of the phonetic sounds that we use in English. In that case, it's only natural that you have problems with expressing yourself fully in English. But it's not your fault. It's just the lack of knowledge about pronunciation. So if you're ready to really improve your pronunciation and start using all the phonetic sounds of English so that you can be fully understood and be your true self in English, it's time to take a look at the Phonetic Fluency membership. You can read all of the information by clicking the link in the description below, but if you have any questions, leave me a comment and I'll get back to you. I'll see you in the next video.